Welcome. I am Asa Lanham, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Innovaro, and this is the second piece in our section on innovation for entrepreneurs. And this is going to be all about what are the things that you need to do before you start. As you can see, we've got 7 sections all together, and this is the first one. And this is all about what do you need to make sure that you're ready to do before you contact anyone. In knowing what to do and doing that, timing is everything in this process. I will tell you, it's very difficult to raise venture capital between November the 15th and January 7th. It's the holiday season. Businesses are coming to a close. People are getting ready to travel and do things. If you're really going to start trying to do your fundraising, and then it's going to be tough. It's also really hard to raise it between July the 15th and September the 7th. And that really comes back to the holiday season, people being gone. You need to talk to other partners. They're not there. So those are 2 times to be very careful about trying to either start or do that. And if you're in process, you need to understand that if you're looking at the second part of the latter part of your process falling into one of those, it's going to get delayed. That's not a good thing. All delays are bad in fundraising, right? So the other part of it is, let's say you've been successful and you've had your first partner meeting, right? But you haven't gone to the full partner meeting. Well, normally what you do is you get your first partner meeting. They might have a couple of other people that attend with them. They determine if they think it's really worthwhile to take forward to the full partners. You're going to go in and get a chance to meet with them. Pretty much full partner meetings are almost always on Mondays. The reason for that is very simple. Full partner meetings on Mondays. If something has to happen, somebody can get on a plane on Tuesday or Wednesday. If you're later in the week and you suddenly find out that your meeting needs to be rescheduled, don't be surprised. That's because that full partner meeting caused the person you've been working with to have to go out of town for a reason, right? A little bit of other thing you need to know about the timing and sizing is you can see here the size of the fundings and how they varied over time. This is a chart that looks at the median investment size in millions of dollars over the past 6 or 7 years up through 2010. It continues to evolve, but you can see that seed rounds have been fairly constant. Series A rounds have gone down. Series B rounds have been all over the map, and growth rounds, or you name it, they can be anything. They vary dramatically. So that's the one thing in here is that you better know what round you're looking for and where you're going to be when you're getting ready to do those things. The key thing that you need to prepare before you even approach anybody is an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch, some people refer to it as a cocktail party pitch. Oftentimes, it's one of these where, if you know what you're doing and you go to the right seminars or conferences, you'll get a shot to have 2 or 3 sentences with one of the partners or one of the key members of a venture firm at a conference or a seminar or something of that nature. You've got 2 to 3 sentences to get them excited. You've got to be brief. You've got to state what it is you do. Now, they're not going to do everything right there, particularly if it's a very short period of time. They got other things. They've probably got meetings, but you want to follow up. The follow-up is the important. It's if you get their attention with the elevator pitch, then you got to come back and say, we spoke briefly. This is what I said. I'm following up to talk about that. You've got to define your problem. You got to find a way to visualize it to make the image stick in their head. We stop things from blowing up, and the idea of things blowing up is pretty visual, right? How do you solve the problem? Why are you different and better? Well, we stop them from blowing up because we can create environments where there's no oxygen, which is required for explosions, or whatever it might be. And why are you better? The third part is, how are you going to reach the market? How will you get to your marketplace, right? Are you going to do this through direct sales, through indirect sales? Is it television sales? Are you going to be on the home shopping network, right? And you better know who your target market is. You got to make it real, and you got to make it precise. We're going to go into, using our example, we're going to go into the people that are responsible for bomb disposal units, and that in the military and in the police, and you got to be right. What's your progress? How many have you actually talked to? How many have you been able to reach? And why is your team uniquely qualified? It's our team's uniquely qualified because we're all made up of people that have been doing this for over 20 years. We've seen all the different things. We know what we're doing, right? So that elevator pitch is critical, right? When you give your elevator pitch, you got to represent yourself. Don't try and be somebody you're not. Put lots of energy and enthusiasm into it because passion sells. Now, you're not trying to be a cheerleader, but if you don't believe in it and if you sound tired and bored, guarantee you the person you're talking to isn't going to believe in it, and they're going to think, well, this guy doesn't care. Why should I care, right? Another one is don't use jargon. There's a lot of jargon out there, and I will guarantee you, if you start using jargon and acronyms, the jargon and the acronyms that you use will mean something entirely different in another industry, and you may get entirely the wrong message across. So don't use jargon, use plain speak, because you want this message to get legs for someone else to be able to do it without having to remember jargon, right? Where you can, use numbers. Use numbers to illustrate your point. Use numbers to make your point. There are 400,000 problems of this nature every year that occur, and we can fix 220,000 of them if we can just get to the right people. That's a pretty impressive number. It makes sense, right? Say what you want. Don't just sit there and go, let me tell you all about this, and then go, what do you think? No, say, we're looking for this. This is what we do. We're looking for people that are interested in investing in our firm. We're looking for people that want to participate in our firm. And you also need to be prepared for the next step, right? If they say to you, I've got a half an hour right now, let's go sit down, you better be ready for a half an hour right now. You better be ready for them to say, okay, I can't today, but let's get together tomorrow. Always, always, always be ready for the next meeting, for the next session. Don't go to one without being ready for the next. It's a big mistake, right? And in the process of this, make sure you listen and ask questions. Don't do all the talking. When you're defining your problem, you can say, this is what we see as a major problem. Is this something that you've heard of? Is something you know about? This is how we solve it. This is why we think we're better. Get feedback. Get them to engage. If they engage, that means that they're internalizing what you said, they're thinking about it, and they're doing things. So you really want to do that to listen and get them to ask questions. Do your due diligence before you start. If you go talk to someone that their firm does all investments in a retail, areas and that, and you're doing heavy duty mining, they're probably not going to pay any attention to you. And if you can, get a chance to know the venture capital firm and the individual partner over a period of time. The better you know the firm, the better you know them, the better off you will be, right? Ways to do that, things to know, get a list of companies and CEOs from the VC portfolio. Go on their websites. Most firms have lists of their deals on their websites. If they don't, ask for it, right? These are, by the way, are going to be good references for you. These are going to be people and organizations you can go look at and talk to and find out more about in terms of that kind of stuff to get to do your due diligence on the VC. Find the failed companies in the portfolio. Every venture firm has failed companies in their portfolio, and failed companies probably, in some cases, have more value for you to know things than the ones that succeeded. Certainly want to emulate the success, but you got to learn from failures, right? And the failures can teach you a lot, right? Find some of the CEOs that were out there that were fired by the VCs. Talk to them. Why were they fired? What happened? How did it go? Those are important sources of information for you. And if you're trying to find a way to do that, do a LinkedIn search on company names that are in the portfolio. You can find the ex-CEOs. You can find the founders. Those pieces of information are out there for you. If you haven't done that, you're coming into the discussion very, very poorly prepared, very, very poorly armed. You need that information as part of what you do. It's worth spending the time to do it. Right? That's all I really want to say about in this section about before you start speaking. This is what you need to know. This is what you need to do. And we'll look forward to chatting with you more in the next session. Thank you. Goodbye.